welcome in to be our guest. We love all of our guests, but sometimes
Amen.
we just have people that we are especially fond of and especially proud of the work that they do. And that's the case this morning, because we have with us the Commissioner of Agriculture for the state of Alabama, Mr. John McMillan, whom I have been through so many roads with for a long time. And we're so glad to have you.
Well, thank you so much for your kind remarks, and it's a pleasure to be with y'all.
And thank you for the good job you're doing, by the way.
Thank you.
It's well
We don't get many
recognized.
thank yous, but when we do, we really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Good work is just plain good work, and
Yes.
you can't make it anything else. And you know, we're talking about good work. We were talking with a lot of people about food safety and about labeling, and that falls under your purview for taking care of that.
A major part does.
So tell us a little bit about what the Department of Agriculture does in relationship to keeping us safe in regards to food.
Okay. Well, we have a food safety lab at our department, and that's one of the areas that is well funded, at least the equipment part of it, because we got like a $1.8 million grant from BP to test the Gulf seafood. And let me say that we've had thousands of samples tested now and never had even one sign of any problem. So we're really happy about that. But in addition to that, we have inspectors out in the field that travel around the state, take samples, particularly of things like corn products, peanut products, for testing for alpha toxins and those kind of things. So extremely important part of what we do that, again, people don't really have a lot of awareness about.
When we talked earlier about labeling, I didn't really have much of a knowledge about this until I talked to, I think it might have been Glenn Zorn, somebody in your department, when I've done a lot of work with you all, about the conditions that some of these products, fish in particular, are being raised in, and I just don't buy that anymore. So let's talk a little bit about that, because our audience really needs to know.
Yeah, and it's a very complex thing. We're in a heated situation right now with both Canada and Mexico, primarily in the meat area. But lately, the country of origin is a mighty important component of all that. That's one thing, especially with seafood, that my wife certainly keeps an eye on, because there are some of the countries that I frankly would be afraid to consume the product.
And it is clearly on the label.
It
should be on the label.
Yeah,
if
it should
anything
be.
our viewers know, when you buy, do look for that made in or a product
Yeah,
of.
and there's
It may
another
be-
component of that you have to kind of keep an eye on, because sometimes there'll be another little line on there that says packaged by somebody in California, New York, or wherever, but that's not where it really came from. So
its origin.
It's just the kind of thing that consumers need to be conscious of and pay attention to.
I think that our goal, of course, is if you can buy Gulf Coast, Alabama, shrimp, whether it's farm raised or whatever, you want to try to buy anything that is an Alabama product, because we know that we have great control from your department over these things, and there are multiple other aspects of that too that we'll talk about later. But I'd like to also ask you, we're huge proponents of local farmers and vegetables that are Alabama grown, and there's a difference there in Alabama products and fruits that are maybe grown in Mexico or Chile or other places.
Absolutely, and there's a national movement on that. And in some ways, it's kind of interesting to go back and look at the history of it, because during the war, for example, they had as many as 5,000 family gardens or community gardens in Detroit, places like that. So that was all part of the war effort to feed our consumers in this country at homes. But it's kind of come full circle again for different reasons.
That's true. That's true.
But we've come back to that, and I walk early every morning, and we see backyard chickens. I hear a few roosters crowing here in Montgomery.
Jack has chickens?
You're walking up in Elmore County?
No, this is in Montgomery. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, because most ordinances do not allow for the roosters. But anyway, it's part of that whole effort to, and it's a consciousness on the part of consumers and the health aspects, and some of that might be overrated, but certainly it makes sense that something can't be picked in California and trucked all the way across the country and still be as maybe as healthy and fresh and enjoyable as homegrown.
Thank you for everything that you and your entire department do for us.
Well, thank you.
And we will have the commissioner back and talk about some other things that are relevant to your health, to your life, and to the Alabama economy. Stay with us. We'll be right back.